All right. I have been waiting to do this for quite some time. Interview my favorite interviewers. Some of the DJs from all over Texas that I get to meet whenever I'm out there traveling or I've just met on the road. And one of my favorite people, the one who gets to do the first one of my wild, weird ones, Mr. Carey Dean. Carey, how you doing, buddy?
Man, if I do any better, I'll be taking a nap. Thanks for your interruption. No, man, I'm glad to do this, man. This is really cool. I'm glad you thought of it.
Well, thank you so much, man. Carey Dean is living in Corsicana. He's out there 106.9 The Ranch. And I wanted to kind of ask you some questions, get a little background, and talk to you about you as a DJ. So let's start with the obvious questions. What town did you grow up in? Where'd you grow up?
Well, I'm not grown up yet, but I'm still living the town. I'm still living in Corsicana, which is pretty cool.
Is that where you're from?
Yes.
Cool. Now, let me ask you, if you're anything like me, you probably like had some DJs that you listened to growing up. Who were some of your favorites when you were growing up?
You know, as a kid, growing up my age, we always, Bill Mack was on, everybody's grandparents' radio. And so you kind of grew up hearing that voice. And so that was always awesome.
Cool.
And then, but the DJs that really, really secured it for me was that LaBella and Rodeo on the Zoo in Dallas. And I heard those guys and what they were doing, their sense of humor, the thought they put into their craft, and just really being the cool guys on the stage and on the air. When you're in high school, I mean, that's the time, man, when radio is just like really, really big for you, and it's a really big part of your life. And I saw how those guys became, everyday people, every day with a name that everybody knew. And I'm like, God, to be that cool. And I've got to do that. I've got to do that. So it was always a dream to do because of those guys.
Cool. Do you know like the first job that you had, like radio job that you had? Do you remember that? It's been years, buddy.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. In fact, I went to college for a while at Nevada College. At that time, they had one of the top radio TV programs in the state. And I went for a while, of course, fell in love, quit college, quit school and everything else, got a job, had kids. And then when that went the way that it should have, then I said, you know what, I'm going back to that dream. And so I knew that, anybody on the street can walk into a radio station and go, hey, man, I want to talk on the radio. I want to talk on the radio. But I went in with an idea. And the idea was, and this is over 20 years ago, I'm like, there's a really, really great music scene that's about to pick back up in Texas. And there's a lot of music out there that nobody's getting to hear. And I want to showcase that music. So I started a show called The Farm because I walked into a station manager's office and said, I have an idea, instead of saying I want to be on the radio. So I went in with an idea instead of saying I want to do that. Yeah. And that idea has worked ever since.
That's awesome. And what station was that?
That was at KAND. In Corsicana, Texas.
In Corsicana.
Yeah.
And so have you worked for many stations or just?
I worked for 4 altogether. In fact, I worked, left KAND after a couple of years or so doing a specialty show there. Went to an FM station in a little town about 40 miles away. Okay. And then I took it to FM. And then I went to Waco to Lone Star 94. And then the ranch in Corsicana, 106.9 The Ranch came open. In fact, I interviewed with them when they were still finishing up their studios in Fort Worth at Sundance Square. In fact, I interviewed with Andy Meadows in a bank across the street from the studios there in Fort Worth. So at one point, I was doing Saturday night in Waco, Sunday night at Ranch in Corsicana, Monday through Friday in the mornings, plus doing festivals all day Saturday and shows when I could Friday and Saturday night. Man. So
devoting your life to the scene, man.
Well, it's just getting out there and paying, it's like artists do. You get out there and you pay your dues and you get out there and you go, hey, let me in and let my chick in, give us a barbecue sandwich and a 6-pack of Shiners. I'll host your festival for you. So,
Love it.
So, and it's really cool because this past September, after years of doing all this, I was able to go to host 4 days in Kentucky at the Vet City Motorcycle Music Festival. 4 days. And here's the guy that used to get in for the barbecue sandwich and a 6-pack of Shiner and let my chick in. All of a sudden, I'm standing in front of Jackal and Puddle of Mud and all these bands like that for 4 days. I went to Kentucky. And they let me in and feed me. They put me in a hotel, paid me well, and and it's just a great time. But I was thinking while I was on that stage during that 4 days, man, remember how small that stage was that you're standing on? When you got the sandwich, you let your chick in like a 6-pack of beers. And so it really, you pay your dues, you get to move up and do those kind of things, which I think is really, really cool. But I also remember some of the most real music I've ever seen or heard was still on those small stages. And that's what I started out doing, is to present those bands.
Yeah. Well,
So bands like that, you would have the bigger bands.
Let me ask you, I know you're a fan of rock. I know you, I love that stuff too, because there it is. Hatebreed. Nice. So whenever you, because you came up to them and said, man, I know the scene for the farm, the first one that you did. Right. So was that from just going out and seeing bands, or how did you start getting into that scene?
It was a little bit of everything. It was, because my dad was a musician. He was, worked at, office job executive, but he was always a lifelong musician. So we always had all kinds of, and my mom was a big music fan. So we always had all kinds of music around the house at all times. My dad is, because I was born in 61. So I was exposed to Fraulein at an early age, but my dad's also the guy that turned me on to Deep Purple when the Machine Head album came out, and Pink Floyd when Dark Side of the Moon came out. And so, nice. And then as I grew, till my dad passed away, we always exposed each other to music all the time, of all kinds. I mean, I took my dad to see Prince 2 months before my dad passed away, and he loved it. Nice. But it's just always been a music thing. It's always about the music.
Yeah.
And it's about being a goofy dick. but if you can be stupid and play some great music at the same time, dude, it's a party. And that's what's great.
That's greatness, man. Who was the first band from the scene? This would kind of say, like, whenever you really got into it, that you remember going like, all right, I like this scene. I like this band, and finding out they kind of went together. That's a scene.
Well, really, when what I call the Nuevo Tejas scene was a New Texas movement, I think the person that really started, because, back there was Willie and Towns and Ray Wiley and all these great people in the scene, for all these years. And then when it kind of started getting new again, then Robert Earl Keen popped up. Then you started seeing all these guys playing, then you see Tommy Alverson was there, then the Max Stalling come along, there's Ed Burleson, Mark David Manders, Kevin Deal. I mean, all these kind of artists started popping up. And then another movement came from that when you had Pat Green, and then everybody started following that scene. Yeah. And then the whole scene just kind of melded together, And you go to Willie Spinnick's in the late 90s, like out in Lukenbach with 13,000 people, and you had, Emmylou Harris on the stage, in a white dress with black leaves and red flowers when the sun was going down, and she's standing with the guitar playing, and earlier in the day you had Titty Bingo from Austin playing.
That's crazy, man.
So you got to see all these bands, all these different styles, Monty Montgomery, Mighty Clouds of Joy were in the morning, Sleep at the Wheel, then you get, these guys thrown in there. It's like, wow, so you really got an introduction to a lot of music, like Monty Montgomery played, you get all these introductions to people at these festivals. So festivals were like the best dollar spent to take the music, especially at that time. And it still is for that fact. But you get so many festivals. So festivals are always like the thing. And then just start researching. Even though we didn't have that much of the internet back then all the time, besides dial up, word of mouth. Word of mouth was the deal.
It had to be word of mouth. And what's weird is hearing about these stories about bands that blew up in the scene, like your Corey Morrow's, your Randy Rogers. Yeah. This is before the internet. I mean, it had to be strictly word of mouth, and that mouth had to carry to other towns before you had social media. So I always, for one thing, because as a DJ now, I always wonder, dude, how was anybody a DJ before the internet? Like I always, like I know you had magazines and maybe phone calls, but
yeah, let me tell you this. In fact, talking about K&D, the first start, I had a buddy that worked there.
Yeah.
And in fact, did a morning show with him for a while. We moved to the ranch years later. But I would go into the radio station because I knew artists were sending CDs to the station. And I knew they weren't going to play them.
So you grabbed those.
Hey, can I have this? Hey, can I have this? Hey, can I have this? And so, it didn't take me long when I started doing the show. I had shatter boxes full of CDs. Shatter boxes. I mean, what better to carry those CDs around than a shatter box, right? So then I actually went at one point to a case company and had them build me 3 tour cases. They held 500 CDs a piece, and I had them all in alphabetical order. So I would take those to me when I do the radio show, like in Waco. Undo the front, stand them up, boom, everything was there. So, so it was fun.
That's cool, man. Well, let me ask you a question. Was there anybody out there that just blew you away the first time you heard them? And I'm sure there's a lot of bands like that because I can think of a few bands that just like first time I heard them, like what? But some bands that before anybody had heard about them, who is a band that maybe that just really sticks in your mind?
And lately,
Lately's good.
Copper Chief.
Copper Chief is incredible.
Copper Chief all day long. Copper Chief is just one of these bands that I had gotten their album. They wanted me to write a review. I wrote a review for 15 tracks on one album. I thought, my goodness, ridiculous for the first album for these guys. And so I listened to the album, wrote the review. I thought, well, I got to go see it. When they get close, I will. I went in this bar, opened up, walked into the bar, ordered a 7-Up because I planned on staying for 45 minutes. And last call, I was still drinking 7-Up after I listened to play 2.5-hour sets.
Nice.
And it absolutely blew me away the entire time.
Yeah.
Entire time. But somebody that blew me away that I went and saw way back, I thought was just amazingly cool, was Wayne the Train Hancock.
Wayne the Train Hancock.
Wayne the Train Hancock.
Okay.
And in fact, I saw him one time at Havitas in South Austin. I had him autograph a cassette.
That's old school right there.
But anyway, I mean, if you'll go listen to Thunderstorms and Neon Signs,
okay,
it is such a throwback to Hank Williams Sr. In fact, Hank 3 actually put 2 or 3 of Wayne the Train songs on his first release.
Oh, cool.
So it's that style, but it's just so freaking cool.
Where are they from?
Austin.
Austin here, okay.
Yeah, they're going to record an album in 2 days.
Oh, man, that's phenomenal. Well, you've done like I see that we as DJs, the only time we see each other at festivals. Now I'm lucky. I do music, so I get to travel around. I get to see you as much as I can.
Right.
And I've seen you a lot of times. But usually we only get to see each other at the festivals, man. So what? Now that we're in the scene, what are some of your favorite festivals to be a part of every year?
One that I really super duper miss is Tommy Alverson's Family Gathering.
Oh yeah,
Tommy Alverson's Family Gathering. I mean, you're there. You get there. Hopefully the Wednesday night, or you get there early Thursday morning, so you see all 3 days of the music, and it's called the Family Gathering. That's what it was like. I mean, I will have lifelong friends. That festival's now done. It ran for 20 years, and I was able to make it to over half of them. But just the music and the camaraderie. I mean, when Mike Crow and I were able to stand on the stage and sing "Happy Birthday" to Leon Roush, and he's going to come out there and play. Then and you're on stage making, telling Gary P. Nunn he can't go out on the stage because the T-shirt's got pee on it. I remember.
Oh, that's cool, man.
The very last night of Tommy Alverson's Family Gathering every year, it was Tommy Alverson that played. Excuse me. And Tommy would sometimes play for hours and hours and hours. I remember walking back to my camp one night when Tommy was playing. It was like 3:30 in the morning. I walked back to my camp to open up a beer and sat there and listen to Tommy through the woods playing Allman Brothers. And then the last night of the last festival that he was doing, we took the performance clocks down off the stage after he had played for several hours, and then set them back to the original start time.
Just do it all over again.
Yeah, but Willie's picnics are great. I've been to a lot of one-day festivals that are really, really cool.
Cool.
I was very, very honored I got to open the stage for Willie's 40th anniversary picnic, and that's just one of the coolest things on the planet.
Oh, that is awesome, man.
Just a lot of things like that. But the thing about that is a lot of times, of course, through the years, you do a lot of shows with a lot of people at a lot of times. But it's good to run back into those people like Billy Joe Shaver, that says, "Hey, man, there's not enough room on the stage for 2 Corsicana boys. What are you doing?" It's just that feeling to do something really, really cool. It's just get to present the music,
Yeah, man. That's really cool. Well, let me ask you. With the station, you've been with the station that you're on right now. How long have you been with the ranch?
Since 2004.
2004, man, 16 years of rock and roll in that bad boy. And well, what's your favorite? What's been the best things? Let's start with some of the hard things about doing what you're doing. I know what they are, but go ahead and let the masses know some, especially with you, because you do it your way and you have certain things that you do. But what's some of the tough parts about the job?
The hardest thing for me sometimes is just the hours. like I said, on Friday, I get there like what, 5:30, whatever, or a minute till 6.
It's morning radio right there, baby. I know about that.
So you get there, you go through your day. Of course, we're a small station, so we get to do everything from, get the oil change in the truck to, music programming, anything, remotes, anything that's going on in a small station, you have your hands on everything. So we do that. So if I work all day long at the station, 9-10 hours, come home, take a shower, run and do a show that night, they don't put the headliner on till 11 o'clock and it's an hour away. Well, by the time you get those guys off the stage, you get back home, sometimes it's 2:33 in the morning, but you might as well play the gig. So
Right?
like that day alone is 22 hours. But
Yeah.
that is good. But things I enjoy about, I love reading. I read at least 3 hours a day, easily. I read at least 3 hours a day across the board on all kinds of stuff. And the I don't know, anything after that is not hard.
Yeah.
Really, reading is not hard. If it were, I can understand why we're taking me 3 hours a day.
Especially at that pace, man.
Just so many variables to it, But
That's cool.
my favorite things also are the things that I don't like about it.
Yeah.
Because it's all part of the same thing. Hey, the pill is still part of the banana, baby. Enjoy it. Don't eat it, but enjoy it.
That's awesome, man. I feel the exact same way about radio, man. It's got a lot of tough moments, but getting to do what we love to do means getting some tough moments, and you just kind of soak them in depending on who you are. I know I do. I try to soak those moments in also.
And the guy I'm doing the show with now, Keith James, I mean, he's been around for a long, long time. He's fun. He's ridiculous, and we both know and enjoy that whatever we throw up in the air, the one's going to catch it. Yeah. And so that really makes it fun. And he and I just about got it to the point where we can do it without a net.
Killer.
And, I don't even know who Annette is, but we can do it without her.
She screws up morning shows, man. I know her well. We have been, man. I want to thank you, man, for talking with me and sitting down and chatting. I've been talking with Carey Dean from 1069 The Ranch in Corsicana. He has done Texas music for many, many, many years, and it's just one of my favorite people that I've met on the road. And I thought it'd be a good chance to sit down and talk with him, find out more about him. Carey Dean, thank you so much for joining us, man. I appreciate it.
Much love, brother. I appreciate it too, man. Have fun.
Right back at you.